It's finally here, again. Another live action Star Wars show, and once again, this features new characters, planets, and stories. Today we're talking about Skeleton Crew. It premieres tonight on Disney Plus, and let's discuss this series before we watch it tonight. And if you like it, I'll be doing a live stream after the show drops to discuss it with you all. And supporting the channel is free, by the way. All you gotta do is like this video, subscribe for more Star Wars content, but let's actually talk about Skeleton Crew here. The official description for Skeleton Crew is the Skeleton Crew tells the story of 4 kids searching for their home planet after getting lost in the Star Wars galaxy and the strange aliens and dangerous places they encounter on their adventure. This takes place during the same time as the Mandalorian series, after the events of Return of the Jedi and the Fall of the Empire. This show has 8 episodes in total, which is pretty normal for Star Wars now. 2 of them are dropping tonight, and the premiere is ending its run on January 14th. So we're going to get this for a couple months. I mean, at least 2 full solid months. Watching the trailer, it feels like kind of the Goonies meets Stranger Things. It's intentional. It's giving you that 80s coming-of-age movie vibe, which honestly I like. I think those movies are iconic for a reason. Kid actors have always had a rough track record in Star Wars, but we know the intentions here are not only to connect with the younger audience, but to remind the older audience what it feels like to be a kid and have youth. One big complaint, though, I've seen about this trailer since it dropped is that the planet that these kids are living in, it looks exactly like every middle America, most places in the world. It's just a typical suburban look. It's intentional, clearly, and it's meant to reflect our world, but I think that's also kind of an issue as well. We know execution is everything. Why does planet look like a typical suburban neighborhood on Earth? They say it's like the peak of the Old Republic, basically. But honestly, you don't want Star Wars to just feel like Earth, but in another galaxy. So I hope they explore this in a meaningful way, because that's one thing I think people get turned off with Star Wars, is when it feels a little bit too close to home, where it's like, okay, this is literally just talking about the stuff that we have going on in the real world. Like, that's not why I'm watching this, you know? What I will give this show credit for is it looks to be a simple, kind of fun adventure, a little Saturday matinee cartoon. I think they're trying to go for that New Hope, simple plot line. Kids find a spaceship, they go to another galaxy and need to get home. On the way back, there's a lot of crazy adventures. And at the end of the season 1, I think they're probably going to return home with a lot of character growth and development. It's going to be a little happy ending. And then, oh, maybe we go on another adventure for season 2. There's this lost treasure that we got to go find or something like that. The goal for Skeleton Crew as a show should be simple. It should be charming. And from what we've seen in these trailers, that's how it looks to me. And we're definitely going to get some stuff with the Force because of Jude Law's character. He can clearly use the Force. He's probably a Jedi. Some people speculate he might be a Sith, which I do think would be really interesting to explore, but I highly doubt it. But I think that should be the subplot to this show. I don't think that should be the main story that we focus on. I think that should be so unique and mysterious that you want to know more, but you don't get fed all the information because you really need to focus on the main characters, which are these kids. And fans tend to forget that Star Wars is supposed to be fun and adventurous. The mythological stuff is great. I love that, but it is supposed to be fun as well. And if this show can recapture that feeling, I think it can bring in a lot of the general audience. And I think the viewership for this is kind of on thin ice at the moment. I really don't know. I think the episode 1, the 2-episode premiere that they're going to drop is going to set the tone for the rest of the series. And honestly, when you think about adventurous shows and things that people tuned in for a lot, the Mandalorian series is the only show of late that gives you that feeling of adventure while exploring the universe. There's something very unique to that, but within Djarin, there's a confidence that he knows what he's doing. These kids are going to be the ones going to these new places and everything, so Jude Law's character is going to defend them, I'm sure, but with these kids as well, there's going to be a lot more tension because they're young. They can easily get beaten up by all these pirates or taken hostage or something like that. Another important thing, though, when it comes to a show like this, especially with Star Wars nowadays, we've seen with the history, is you have to look at who is creating these projects. The showrunners for this show, Skeleton Crew, are John Watts and Chris Ford. Now, John Watts wrote, directed, and produced all the Spider-Man films with Tom Holland, as well as every other project he's worked on. He has basically wrote, directed, and produced. He wrote Skeleton Crew alongside his longtime co-writer, Chris Ford, who's co-wrote everything that John Watts has ever done. And so John Watts is directing the premiere episode and the season finale for the first season of Skeleton Crew. And I don't mind the Spider-Man films with Tom Holland, but they're typical Marvel films to me. Very forgetful. The one where all the Spider-Men came back from like the different universes and all that stuff. Love that one. That one was really cool, but I don't think a lot of these films have substance to them. So when you tell me that the guys who made those movies are making a Star Wars show, that doesn't excite me very much. And I haven't seen their other work, but looking at all the reviews and everything, they don't seem to be reviewed all that highly. Some of the other directors, though, are definitely better, in my opinion. You have Bryce Dallas Howard, who has done great work in every Star Wars episode that she has done. So I'm glad to see her do an episode of Skeleton Crew. Lee Isaac Chung has directed an episode of The Mandalorian in season 3, the one where it focuses on the doctor, piercing Persian guy the entire time. It wasn't the best episode, but that's due to the plot of it and the writing. The directing of the episode I thought was fine. It looked like a really good episode. I just didn't like what it was about. And the rest of his work isn't anything that gets rave reviews either. There's these guys, they call them the two Daniels. They directed Everything Everywhere All at Once. They're directing, I think, one of the episodes in the series. I thought that was a terrific film, so I'm curious how they're going to do in Star Wars. But some of the other directors, like this guy named David Lowery, I think, and Jake, I'm not even going to try to say his last name. They have mixed track records on their IMDb reviews, so I'm nervous about some of this stuff because they have a lot of work underneath their belts, but a lot of these directors, when I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't, maybe because I don't know them, but honestly, I think it's an odd choice of a production team that Lucasfilm does have going on here, and that's what makes me most nervous about the show. Like I said, I didn't like those Spider-Man films all that much, and I don't see anything on John Watts and Chris Ford's track record that makes me go, oh, I think they're going to do a fantastic job. It's not like Taika Waititi coming in here where you're like, okay, I've seen some of his work, and some of our misses, some of our hits, but we've even seen him do Star Wars in Mandalorian season 1. So it's a touchy thing to look at when you go into a production like this and try to estimate what kind of quality these showrunners and directors are going to do. So a few of them have great track records that I think I can trust, the others not so much. And I really think this show has potential, can be a great coming-of-age Star Wars story that inspires the younger generations, but Star Wars has a bad track record with these kids as lead characters, and these people making the show, I feel like, have a rocky resume in general. So, as usual, I would say be cautiously optimistic about this show, because that's what I am. I think everything in this show can really bring a new perspective and approach to Star Wars, but it being about kids and them trying to, I guess, right that wrong in Star Wars could also be the downfall of the show. Them trying to do the Goonies thing. A lot of people don't think Goonies were all that good in the end of the day. So I don't know, man. I'm a little nervous about this, but we're going to see what happens tonight. Tell me your predictions below and your hopes for the show. We'll see how well they execute with the 2-episode premiere. Tune into my live stream right after the episode ends, and tomorrow my review will be out on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Smash the like button to help me defeat the dark side of the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe for more Star Wars only content. Follow me on all the socials for even more Star Wars news and content. I'll see you all next time, and may the Force be with you always.